Okay. I'm ready.
All right, so yeah, we're going to jump on the next part here. So make sure I get the right PowerPoint working. All right, cool. All righty, and I got yes, that's right, PowerPoint. And all right, cool.
Well, I guess we should have been probably filming this. I'm sorry, I was just reading along.
Yep, that's okay. See, I always debate: do I leave fill in the blank, or because a lot of times I'll just give you the. I think okay, in this.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't.
In this, okay, okay, yeah.
Okay, go back and start over.
Yeah, sorry.
That's fine.
Matthew, you already read through Peter.
Yep, and all that. Okay, all that stuff. All right. Oh, well, yeah. The next lesson, I don't think I give you. It's not a fill in the blank. Sometimes I do fill in the blank. Sometimes I don't because it's just.
You're gonna have to say, write it down. Like,
Well, I don't have it written down in my thing, so I don't have what's written down, so I'm just going. That's the downside. You got to know where it's at. And
I was just paying attention to your screen.
Okay. Okay, so we're going to talk about the ABCs of crisis intervention. And I use this as a kind of a template how to do the work that we do because it's basic 3 ideas and then and you got to kind of alternate to fit what you're going to do, okay? What you're going to be working with. Because each situation is different. So number A is achieving contact or establishing a relationship, relax a person in distress and makes effective communication possible. Because a lot of times, when you say you did a lot of sales work, and when you approach someone, most of the time they're like, what do you want? What's the deal? They're on guard.
Right.
And you want to, that's not the thing. We're supposed to express the love of Christ. How does that take that down low? So let me talk about that. There's some techniques with that. We'll hit some points with that and then work with that. Then boiling down the problem is that it's essentially requires defining what has happened, what is being felt, and why. That some people go, well, this is kind of counseling type of thing. Well, sometimes that fits, sometimes it doesn't, but still, it fits more. Okay, why are you approaching this person? Is it because they need prayer? Is it because they're missing sheep and you call them on the phone? Is it because they're in the hospital and need prayer? There's all, but it's what's the point here? And sometimes you talk to people and they want to talk about everything in the world, but you're like, well, help me understand what this need is today, because each moment is it's a moment, it's a place and time, it's a ability to help that person, encourage them to show the love of Christ in that moment for them.
In sales, they said you always had to have a reason for being there.
Right. Yeah. And so, that reason to be there is to, okay, what's your need? How can I help you? What are you asking God for today? Kind of working through that. Where are you at? And I want to talk about some things about that a little bit different than what most would be, because you got to pay attention to some things a little bit effectively. So A is achieving contact, B is boiling down the problem, C is coping actively, which is with the problem is the final step, in which the individuals help to assemble resources, plan to attack a problem, make changes designed to resolve the situation. Now, that's different. That's more like, okay, if they come to you and they got a real problem that needs help with, sometimes you'll go and pray with someone. They go, okay, this is my need. You're praying with them. Okay, great. Or like a new convert, go, say, I love Jesus, great. I want to go to church, great. But I don't have food in my house, or I need help with this.
Right.
What can we do? How do we do it? What are resources available for that?
Right.
And we'll talk about that, how that works out. And so sometimes their need is just keep praying for me. Put me on the prayer list. So there are 3 ideas, but they fit differently. Sometimes you call them missing sheep, and you go, hey, I haven't seen you in church. Well, I've been sick. I didn't know that. Well, do you want to be in prayer list? Or I had surgery, or something's going on in my life, or my wife left me. I've had that happen. The wife left, and that's why I haven't been in church. They go, well, that's not the reason for you not to be. You need to be in church because of that. And so, but we got this problem and that problem. How can we help you? We can't solve all their problems, but how can we resource them, help them out, and then what to do next? Okay. And so,
Be a spiritual hospital.
Be a spiritual hospital and help meet the needs as best as we can. What I find is, I guess, what happened just recently? Someone asked us for benevolence, and the ask was, we get people off the street. They just walk in. Can you help me with this? And it can be they need gas money, or they need to pay rent of $1,000, or they're behind rent $3,000, and can you help them pay that $3,000 bill? No, we can't. Now, if you're an attender, if you're a member of this church, the church, we have policy in place. We'll go over that a little bit in future sessions. That we have policy in place that for members, it's, we've done a lot. We've paid rent. We've paid car repairs. We've done all that. We had someone just this last year. I had someone it was between a $500 and $1,000 car repair, and so they had it at a shop. Now we work with shops that we know well with and are good with, and so we refer folks to them, and then the shop will work a deal out. Then we'll cover it, or we'll work out a deal. They can pay this much, we can cover this much. The shop will give out this much, and someone else may donate this much. Okay, cool, damn, we're all done, and that's a good deal. We do that a lot. We do that, especially for attenders and members. They're faithful to Lakeside, faithful, and especially the members. That's what people don't realize. When you become a member, there's some things that we do that by policy we can't do for anybody else. I mean, basically, if we've had people run some really hard financial hardship, and they go, okay, you paid tithe this much last year, here's it back to pay whatever that big bill is. We will do that.
It's funny because the statement came out what we paid in tithe this last year,
right,
on the same day that my W-2 came from Iran's.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, look, Michelle, we paid more in tithe than what I made.
And you have to know that I never paid tithe.
Okay.
Because I was not
raised that way. Yeah, Catholic is like, hey, put a little money in the plate.
Yeah, I was not raised that way, and it is a big struggle for me.
Mm-hmm.
But he's taught me that
Mm-hmm.
you just have to have faith. That
Yep,
first
that's
10
that first
has
fruits.
to go,
That's it.
and that's that.
Yep.
So I am working on it, but still, I'm like, yeah, I know, because I make out that, I send out that money and
Yep,
that.
yep,
So I
yep.
know how much I send out.
But that's because what happens. Like Pastor only has, I forget what his level is. If someone walks in up to me and I need something, I know I can do $200 without asking anybody.
Right.
Pastor has a higher level, and then but like big money like that, we get in the thousands. That's a board decision, and we've had that. And people have to apply. There's a process with it. We got to figure out how we're going to do things, and then the board's got to decide upon it. And if there's a certain level of pastor, the business administrator, and one or two board members can make a decision without a formal board meeting. But oftentimes they just do an email and the board says yes or no to it and do it on benevolence.
Yeah.
So, but there's things that we can do, but it's not from off the street. I'll help you out maybe $50 to $100, maybe.
Yeah.
Depends on, but there's a lot of repeat offenders too. We go, okay, we'll give you some groceries and send you on your way.
Yeah.
So we run into that quite a bit. And we got different resources. Like we have now the food pantry, which if someone needs food, we got food. It's just a matter of just getting them here, and we want them to come to church, and But if you run to someone on the altar, hey, they don't have groceries, we can meet that need today. That can be done pretty quick. So there's different ways we can do it, and we'll talk about how that all happens in resources. That'll be towards the end. So now establishing relationship. You often say, I don't know what to say. There's no way to start, but the key is to start, to open up the conversation. What has been some negative ways you have been approached by someone in a church setting or even a pastor? Has anyone approached you like you've been in a prayer time, or they said something that was just like not the right thing to say or the wrong way to say it?
Not recently.
I don't know. And ever? So you grew up in the church. You had been.
I can remember as a kid one time we were in the store, and my mom put a string of pearls up to her neck. She goes, "That doesn't bother me."
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, "Yeah, okay." The pastor's wife, she wore pearls in church, and she said, "Oh, June, I don't know how you can wear those and call yourself a Christian." Wow. This is back in the 50s.
Yeah, make it more because that was the Nazarene was holiness,
Yeah.
and they had strict rules and clothing and
quit
joy.
wearing them.
Right.
And then that day she put them up to just see how it looked. She says,
What
"That
wasn't
doesn't
it the pearls of the swine?
No, it was
Don't
all
cast
about
pearls.
jewelry and because see, it's a little church
That's what I
history.
was telling her. She made a comment about pastors not wearing wedding rings, and I
Right.
said that's been frowned on in the church for years.
Yep.
But I don't agree with that. I think if you're married, you should have a ring.
No, I do. It's a symbol of your. But I think the thing is what he's referring to is Nazarene was part of the holiness movement, which goes back to early 1900s, late 1800s,
Right.
and then
Idle Point, Texas.
Yep, and then the Pentecostal movement started. A lot of the original Pentecostals were holiness. Then they became Pentecostal, and then they kind of. But then those elements of holiness, like you couldn't, like Pastor when he grew up, they couldn't go to watch a movie.
Oh,
Yeah,
we couldn't
they-
That would be
No
sin.
dancing.
No dancing.
Couldn't
That's
dance, couldn't go to
right.
movies, couldn't chew, couldn't smoke.
Couldn't go do. That's right.
Yeah,
So that's a thing. So
Couldn't go to movies, couldn't or dances, so we'd go parking.
right.
he said we
We
had
were all told, love one another, so we took full advantage of it.
yeah, love one another. That's exactly right.
Yep. So there's a lot of times people will say things as judgmental. That tone, that view, that's judgmental. And you can say, well, this has a biblical view, but the problem is, though, is it the right context? And this is what, it's a big point that I think people kind of got to work through some more these days, is that the gospel will change people, not the rules that we put out upon them.
Yeah.
And
Dr. Brazee, who started Nazarene Church, he says, don't tell people not to drink and smoke. Get them in, get them saved. They'll figure it out for themselves.
Yep.
And that's what happened with me.
Right. It's that redemption, that
Yeah.
relationship with Christ that changes us. That's
She used to, what's wrong with having a bottle of beer now?
Right,
Or,
right.
I mean, she didn't drink wine.
Mm-hmm.
Smoking has always been hard for me.
Mm-hmm.
When we do fall off the wagon every once in a while.
The doctor told me, he says, nicotine is the most addictive habit, and he said, you will never kick it.
Right.
He said, it is
But
really
swearing at work,
Mm-hmm.
I work in a warehouse with 2 other guys, and they were F-bombing all
Oh,
the
yeah.
time, right? And then I started saying sugar, and doggone it, and other things. And now, if they even slip saying the word, they apologize to me immediately.
Okay, good.
So it has
Yep.
really helped.
I remember going down the road, I can take you to the spot. We were on 8 Mile because we lived in Farmington. We were going towards the Kmart, and I said, dang it. And my mom hit me so hard, just cold whack. And I'm like, what was that for? You don't talk that way.
So I got saved when I was 17 in high school. So we could swear up a storm off and stuff. And then I got saved, and then my parents got saved shortly after that. Then my brother did after that. And so there was, so that culture is like, I knew that with us. I grew up in that life. And then Rosemary grew up, holiness, you don't, all that fun stuff. And, it's just kind of funny.
I remember we had Seeker Sensitive at Jackson First. We followed a lot of the Willow Creek stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But we were real cognizant of people. We were standing up in front of the church after a Wednesday night service, and this one young girl's up there. She says, this Christian thing is so great. She says, I'm really getting my shit together.
That's right. Let's get it together, girl.
And so we're like, we didn't know whether to laugh or what to do.
That's all right, man. That's good. Always. So when you approach someone, always ask about them. Don't dominate or control the conversation. I always use the conversation. You have one mouth, 2 ears. Use them proportionally.
Yeah.
You want to listen more than you want to speak. How you listen to what you're listening to is really important. You can always ask, how can I help you? How can I pray for you? That's always a good open question. How can I help you? How can I pray for you? You want to be more open. You want yes or no answers. You want to say, they can say whatever. I can pray for me about this. A lot of times people come forward for the altar call, and pastors are like, oh, get saved. They come forward, okay, what can I pray for you about? And you think it's going to be salvation. And they're like, no, pray for my aunt that's sick or whatever. And like, okay. What about your relationship with Jesus? They go, I'm good, but I just really feel, I've been away from God. I know that. I'm trying to recommit, but this one is really on my heart right now. Okay, let me pray for you about that. Okay. So never assume. Never assume. Like when I go to the hospital, okay, I go walk in the hospital, and I've just made this my habit because I learned over the years. The person goes in for like a heart surgery, okay, and you go, okay, you start praying for him. I've learned, I'm going to stop. What can I pray for you today?
Right.
You will hear things that you will really throw you off, because the issue may oftentimes it's not their physical need at that point. Oftentimes it's finances because they're off work, family relationships are being strained because of the situation, something else that's burdening that has nothing to do with what's going on with them right now. But that's what's in their heart and spirit that they want to be prayed about. Sometimes, I just need to be able to go. The prayer request, I just need to go to the bathroom so I can get the heck out of here. Okay, we're going to pray for that because that's the real need.
Yeah.
So we pray for that. So whatever it is, never assume. And asking that question and being honest about it, okay, never assume it, makes a big, big, big difference. And then you open up to understand where their hearts and minds. Prayer request shows you the heart of the person. Prayer request opens up the world of the person. For example, when Rose and I, we used to do, and I've done kids ministries for a lot of my ministry over the last 35 years, 40 years. And when we used to have prayer time with kids all the time, we'd have them come, what are their prayer needs? We have worship time, we have kids come for a prayer. we learn about everything in their personal home, good, bad, and different.
Yeah.
I knew the mom and dad were not good long before the pastor ever heard about it, And so he's like, I go, well, yeah, I knew about that. He goes, how'd you know about that? I go, well, the kids told us 6 months ago they were fighting or something was going on or whatever. And so you know a lot of stuff when you ask that questions open up. Yeah. And so, but prayer opens up in all aspects, those things which are hidden. Okay. So there are physical cues with that. Eye contact is really good. People say, "What's good eye contact?" Do you look at someone constantly, or there's you and the person are kind of like, okay, we're checking with each other with our eye contact. We're looking at each other. We're seeing. Okay, we may drift off, but we come back. There's that whole. It's not like you don't sit there and stare at a person. That freaks them out. Okay, like, whoa, that's too much. That's too much.
You're invading my space.
You're invading my space. Keep it connected, but safe distance. And body language. It's really important to understand that and be sensitive to that, because some people.
Breath mints.
Well, yeah, breath mints are really important. I'm always doing coughing, so I can do a lot more breath mints. But there's too close and too safe. And plus, it depends on the person.
Oh, yeah.
It's very subjective to the person. One time we were doing when I did my master's in counseling at Moody, we would do all these group projects and we did applications and stuff. So one time we did this group thing, and I'm very much, because I've done pastor work over the years. There's a lot of stuff that doesn't scare me. I'm like, let's just go. And so we did this whole group thing, I'm sitting here and the girls behind me. I turn right around and go, all right, let's talk about it. And I just kind of moved into her. And she's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm like, what? I was like about as far away from me, but I'm like, okay, now what? She's like, well, that's too much on me right now. I go, what?
Yeah.
What did I do?
And I'm like, what'd I do? She's like, it's just too much. I go, okay. And it was because the topic that was, is doing some analytical stuff, and she was getting kind of churned up about it. But a lot of times when you approach someone in an altar setting, they don't want to be touched even. They don't want to be talked to. They want to be left alone. Okay, I'm going to leave you alone. You got to be sensitive to that. Don't demand that you have to pray with them. They want to be left alone. There are sometimes in the hospital I've gone. It's rare. It is rare. But I've walked into the hospital and pray and just leave. Okay. Don't want to talk. Sometimes, there are some people that don't want us to come. They really don't want us to come into the hospital. They'll be fine for me to come and meet with them before they have the surgery and pray with them, but they don't want me to come after they have surgery because they don't feel that they look good. They don't feel
Self-conscious.
They're very self-conscious. It doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen. There's some people that they don't want us to come at all to the hospital at all.
Oh.
Not even before, but just pray for me at home and I'm good. I'm like, okay. And we will. But whatever that need is, whatever that,
That's what we have to do.
that's what we got to do. And generally, though, so paying attention to body language, how they, how they looking towards you. Are you, if you approach them from behind, they have no one who's behind them. You gotta, look around. Hey, what can I pray for you about? And they look up and they go, okay, pray for me about this. You're in front of them, holding their hand. Hands are always safe places. There's a lot of places you can't, or the people don't feel safe with. Hand and shoulder is okay.
Now, not to digress, but we haven't got the gift of speaking in tongues.
Okay.
Is that a big deal?
No. No. As long as you don't let so-called a heresy, we're good.
Yeah,
No, but sometimes when I'm praying, like my words get all twisted.
Mhm.
They haven't yet come out in
Okay.
way crazy talking.
Okay.
Not crazy talking, but not
Right.
in tongues. But I will get them like, I'll say something way before something else, and it's like, okay, that's not what I was trying to pray for. So I'm not sure if
Okay.
it's starting or what.
Yeah,
I
could be.
don't know.
It could be.
I'm
It
not
could be.
sure, but
Okay, it could be.
yeah.
Well, that was the big division between the holiness movement and the charismatic movement.
Oh yeah, and a big
Major
an anti.
divide,
Yeah. A big anti.
And so I was raised where it's a gift. The
Okay.
great gift is love, but it doesn't mean
No.
you
No.
can't or shouldn't.
Right. Right.
And I've been around it before here.
Right. Because I say Nazarene, there was a Pentecostal movement within the Nazarene church, but it wasn't a core doctrine. It was an accepted practice, but not a core
Right,
doctrine.
yeah, because I know, like evangelists and stuff, I'm sure that they did, but they
Mhm.
wouldn't proselytize it
Okay.
because it caused too much division.
Right. Because there's anti, all that stuff. Yeah. So never underestimate the power of a safe touch, because when some people just sometimes someone just needs someone just to pray to put a hand on and pray for them. That, I mean, a lot of times in church work, people come in that never get touched in a safe way, in a proper way, and there's a power in that. Be aware of your posture and be aware of their posture and yours. Are they open? Are they closed? Are they guarded? Okay, and be sensitive to that. Don't again. You can only push. Don't push. You want to feel that you're trying to connect, but don't. You want to try to connect, but don't push. Does that make sense? There's a balance there. There's a balance there.
I was listening to that Robert Morris the other day, and he was talking about people cutting off in traffic.
Mm-hmm.
So he said, you always just give them the look, you know. So there was a guy cut him off one day, and I gave him a look, and he said about a half hour later, I got a phone call. Pastor Robert, did I do something to upset you?
Well, there's some pastors in church, they won't have any signs, church, no bumper stickers in their church because they don't drive too well. I guess.
Trust me, I drove a company truck with a decal and phone number on it. I've had lots of phone calls.
More in-depth methods of engaging people. Now, this is not altering, but it's something to think about. Tell me your best and your worst. If you just sat down with somebody, I do this all the time with counselees and so forth over the years. Tell me your best and worst. That's a whole different open question.
Yeah.
What's your best part of your week, best part of your day, worst part of your day, worst part of your week? You'll get all kinds of answers.
Yeah.
That really opens it up. It's a great open question. Again, best conversation when we talk less and they talk more. The more they can talk, the better.
Yeah, people like to hear their name.
Yep. How are you? And remembering their names is really important. The pastor really emphasized that.
Say it as soon as they give it to you.
Yep.
You gotta
Yep. Remember names. Repeat it. Now, if I don't know your name, I've over the years I go, I should know who you are. I'm sorry, but I'm old and I'm forgetful. They always laugh at me. I go. He's done. I mean, but he's not. He and I, we pretty much know. Between the two of us, we could probably name everybody in the church. But every once in a while, someone comes, he's like, "Who is that person?" I go, "I don't know." He's doggone. I go, "I don't know. I don't have him. I just, because it used to be I knew all the kids. It's kind of funny. I would know all the kids. Me and Rosie knew every kid that came to the church, but we knew most parents. But then anyone outside that, I was like, I don't know who they are. Yeah. And so now I know all. And now it's like kind of funny. Like I used to know all the kids. Now I don't know hardly any of the kids. I'm out of like 5 years, and but I know most of the adults. But then I once saw something. He's like, "Who is that?" And I go, "I don't know who that is." He goes, "You know who he's like?" I go, "No." I go, "Oh man!" I go, "I know." I go, "I go." You find out. You let me know. I'll find out. I'll let you know. And so we'll make a point. Okay, tell me your name. Like we had Rick and Chris Olmsted just started coming to church begin this month. He says, "Pastor thought they were here in December." I remember seeing them, and I walked up to him. I go, "Hey, hi," they came to prayer. I go, "Hey, tell me your name. I know you've been here, but tell me your name." Okay, it's Rick and Chris Olmsted. Great, cool. Saw him 2 weeks later. I go, "Rick," and I go, "I'm stupid. Help me figure this out." I always do that. And, this is my name. And I go, "Keep on telling me because I'll get it." And then I get it, and I put it in my little systems and all that fun stuff and learn it. But yeah, names are important. Names are important.
When I was at an athletic event at Georgia Tech years ago, it was a big thing. Bobby Cremens was there, who was the head coach for Georgia Tech.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a chance to meet him, talk 34, maybe 5 minutes most, went away. Weeks, maybe a couple of months later, I was at a basketball game and I was walking into the tunnel. He was standing there, he walked by, he goes, "Hi John, how you doing?" And I'm like, whoa, but I guess
he had that ability to learn names, yeah.
They said it helped huge in recruiting.
Yeah.
But he never forgot a name.
That's a powerful tool. But like Pastor said, people walk up to him, and me too. We'll walk. I saw someone the other day, and they've come to church, but they come for like a little season. People come like every like a little season. They'll come for like 2 or 3 months, and they'll drift off, and then we'll see them back again later on. And there's several of those, and we always kind of joke about them. And so I saw them at the store, and they saw me, but I wasn't at the church, so they didn't know where I fit. Right? Yeah, they knew my face, but didn't know where I fit. I go, I can't think of the name, and so. But there's that, if someone leaves that's not here regularly enough, we can't keep track of their names. And and I've gone to like, drive-through at McDonald's or whatever, and they go, "Hey, Pastor Random," I'm going, "Who are you?" Because I knew them when they were a kid. I just gotten grayer, and they were like, "Yeah, I'm so-and-so." I go, "Oh my gosh, it happened to me. You grew up. Oh my gosh, dude." And because I get at Tim Hortons. I've had more kids that work at Tim Hortons in the last few years. And like, "Hey, Pastor," and they go, I think I know who you are. I go, "Yep." I go, "Well, you got big on me, so it's a problem, but help me out here." Yeah. or I'd be at an event, hey, Pastor, and I go, you look kind of familiar. Remind me again. Okay, cool. Because I haven't seen him for like 10 years because they went to college or into service or whatever. And so, you don't keep track of kids. So, but that's important. So now the biggest thing is letting them talk more and you talk less. Just being present shows that you care. It's the ministry of presence. When sometimes a lay ministers, and one of the real powerful things they can do. One is just showing up when it's needed, and like show up at a hospital, show up at a time of need, and just like when people go like, what do you say at a funeral? You don't need to say anything. It's real important just to be there. It's really important just to be there.
I was always taught you never say, I know what you're going through.
You don't.
Everybody, it might be kind of the same circumstance, but you don't know
Right.
what they're going through.
Yeah. And if someone lost a spouse and you lost a spouse, you can understand. But everything's different. Everything's different. And so, and I quote a quote I like really good. It says, "I'm sorry for your loss and sorry for the stupid things people say." That's a great thing to say to someone at a funeral. Because people say a lot of stupid things. And when I counsel people and talk to them about funerals and so forth, I said, if you do a long, some people don't do.
Hey, how you doing?
Some people don't do the visitation, and they don't even do the visitation. That's nowadays. It's kind of funny. After COVID, that changed the whole. Funerals are different nowadays. One because of cost, and because of the COVID stuff, like visitation for 2 or 3 days, no one does. Maybe a day before and the day of, and then even the day before has gotten less because it costs you money. You can save money if you don't do it that way. And for some folks, we do memorial services here, which is usually it's a cremation. Their family has got to find time to do it. They rent the chapel. They can do lunch in there. We do a simple service for them, and it's way cheaper than the thousands you got to pay for a
When
funeral.
my grandmother died, this is back. I was a junior in high school. They lived in Howell, but they'd gone to the Richfield Church in Flint, and it was a whole week. We were in Howell funeral for a couple days,
Yep.
and they sent another funeral home up at Davison, and then we had the funeral, and it was Thanksgiving week, so that delayed it a day.
There's none of that. It's real like a 1 day event, maybe 2 day event, and that's it. And I talk to funeral directors all the time. That's what they say all the time. It's very, very brief, and I think part of it is because it's people don't like that awkwardness of it. Now, I as a therapist and pastor think, well, it's good to go through the process. I tell people all the time because people always ask me, what should we do for the funeral? I said you should do a funeral service as much as you can be possible, involve the family as much as possible. It's because we can't.
I rented an apartment over a funeral, and I worked in a funeral home when I was in college.
Oh wow, okay.
So, went and picked up bodies.
Right,
cleaned
all
up
that
the
stuff.
vaults,
Yep.
Polished the coffins.
Yep. Did all that stuff. Yeah.
So, but I was raised where death is a part of life. I can remember as a little kid, hardly started school yet. My mom took me to a funeral, and it was an older gentleman that I knew in church. She took me up and said, touch him, and she said, no, that's his body, but he's not there.
He's not there. Yeah.
Explained it all. So death was never.
See, that's not a normal experience. Most people have a very
Yeah, Michelle's family.
We didn't
She's
have
been to
funeral.
more funerals since she met me than she had in her whole life before.
As a matter of fact, my brother's wife passed away
Mm-hmm.
in September.
Okay.
Very unexpectedly.
Okay.
And right away, they were all looking at me like, okay, you got to set this up. And I'm like, we've never had a funeral.
Oh, wow.
My grandma died at home,
Okay.
and she was gone before we even got up north.
Oh wow.
My grandpa died in Florida, and I was there. He died in my arms in the hospital, but he was cremated, and we had just a little service for him.
Okay.
Other than that,
Yeah.
truthfully, I've never been involved in a funeral. Now, my
Yeah.
brother, he had to have, like you said, the whole 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
The burial was the next
Right.
day.
Yep.
And then, the party after.
Right.
And he had to have that because, first of all, he had no children.
Oh.
And it was just him and his wife.
Wow.
And his wife took care of him like he was,
He didn't know
The child.
where they banked. He didn't know how to write a check.
Wow.
he knew nothing.
Wow.
He didn't even know that they were 3 months behind on everything.
Oh wow.
So, I mean, it was not pretty.
Yeah.
But they all looked at me like, you have to set this up. And I'm like, I have no clue what to do. So then that's when the guy at the hospital said, okay, first you have to contact a funeral home.
Yeah.
Then they'll help you through everything else. So then I was like, okay, that's all I needed was a guide
Right.
Direction.
to get me to
Right.
where I had to go.
Right. And we'll get a lot of calls like, where should I go for a funeral? And there's a couple of funeral homes that we like, that we recommend, and that we worked with. And we know do good work. There's some are like, don't go there.
Yeah.
But a lot of times we don't have any question about it. We don't have any input on it. They just set it up, okay, then we'll just go with it.
Right.
I know that I'll call funeral directors, work with people and all that fun stuff. And but then like the funeral service, typically we do a funeral service at the funeral home, which more than not we do them at the funeral home these days.
Yes.
It's actually cheaper if they do anything at the funeral home, they keep everything at the funeral home. It's cheaper than trying to transport here to the church. That's just the way it is. If it's a cremation and doing after, we're way cheaper than doing it at the funeral home, because it's just, and we charge like a real basic rental fee and some basic fees. It's like relatively cheap.
Yeah.
And if you want to do lunch, and fine. If you don't. It's up to you. And we do that, which saves a lot of families a lot of money. Don't have the money, and so. But when we do funeral homes, basically they when I walk in, I'm in charge of the funeral, and I take care of it all, the funeral service, and say this is what we're going to do, how we're going to do it. And that's I talk to the family and this and that, and so making sure the funeral director knows what's going to happen, how it's going to happen, what we're going to do it, and all that stuff, and then we're good. Because they like whatever you want, you follow your lead, so it's cool. But the families don't know what they want, so like, hey, we kind of walk them through how to make it work and what do you
We had to
what.
go to a funeral just before Christmas. A good friend of ours, 59, died of cancer. It was sad. Anyways, they had the funeral in Clio, but then we went over to Pastor Chris, the church his dad started in Mount Morris.
Okay, yeah, Trinity.
For the dinner.
Okay, yep. Yep. Yeah, you notice a lot of similarities in their building in Lakeside. It's kind of funny.
So
Okay.
Our first date was at his brother's church in Elm City.
Your first date?
Our first date.
Which church?
We
Awesome.
met at Big Boy in Emily City and had breakfast, and then we went to church.
Sweet. Love that. All right. Active listening. Be engaged. Don't fake it. Now, restate what the person said and clarify. Okay, so these are big, real simple ideas. Be engaged, not just faking it. The best way to tell is when you talk to people, and the idea of restating something. I've taught about this for years. I find this to be the most effective thing to do. Is that when you restate, you don't parrot what they said. That's easy to do. Okay, but you say, okay. You want to say you're thinking this and you're feeling this. That's a different way to approach it. When someone's talking to you, there's a logic and there's a feeling, and there are two different things, and they always don't line up, but that's what's going on. And it's because everyone wants to be known and heard. A big part of the reality of the gospel and Christ coming into our lives, that we are known by God. We can't get our heads around. He knows everybody all the time, but that's what he does, and he knows us. And so, because everyone wants to be known, everyone wants to be heard. How they want to be heard is, okay, I'm thinking this, I'm feeling this. Can you identify that? And so you can say, I'm hearing you say this, your logic, what you're thinking, and your feeling. Sometimes it's real brief and real simple. Sometimes it's really more complicated. And you may be wrong, but it's important to state it. And they go, yeah, you're right. Or, no, that's not right either. Then help me understand it. Okay, so it's this. Okay, cool. So your prayer need is that you want to, your thought is, I need to get right with God. But your feeling is, I feel guilty of my sin. Your need is, I got to get a job, but my feelings, I'm scared of what I'm going to do for tomorrow for groceries. And so there's a lot. It's always these little blend of things. And so when you ask active listening, it says, okay, engaging it. Well, how do you be engaged? It's okay. Your body language is right, your posture's right, you're paying attention to the person. But then the next level is, okay, what am I hearing this correctly? Do I understand it properly?
In the sales world, it was like, they give you, well, first when you walked in, you looked around the office, find common ground, talking about golf or hunting or whatever.
Right.
And then you would, when they said, okay, I want a machine, this, and this, so when you get all that, you say, okay, now let me see if I got this right. You want something that'll trench 3 foot deep, and you need this amount of horsepower to do this, and this.
Right.
And repeat back. That way, if there's something you've missed, they can repeat it back.
Right. But see, now that's logic.
Yeah.
See, so you're repeating back what you heard them say. So you're trying to get, okay, equipment specs, if you would, to match up to their need. Okay. So, but that's logic. which is fine, which is good. But there's another aspect. Okay, what are you feeling?
Right.
You know, and that's a little bit different. Say, okay, so do you now the feeling is okay? Do you trust someone to give you a good quote?
Yeah.
You know, when I you know the church, I've always over the years worked with different vendors over the years, and to me it's business. I don't mess around with it. You give me a fair price, I'm going to give you a competitive price, and if you mess with me, I'm gonna it's we're done. But if you don't mess with me, we're good. You know, we have one vendor that we worked with since I've been here for 15 years, and our youth pastor back then, Steve Royalty, started working with them a little bit, and they got ripped off by the church. Not ripped off, but they were told by a staff member that got fired that the church was going to do all this work with them and accept a quote and and offer them some stuff. And someone out there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Big guy.
He wants us to go to the door.
Let me go see what's
I don't recognize him.
Okay.
You gotta keep an eye.
He's looking at his phone like he was trying to call somebody.
Yeah.
It's only 7 in here. Let's see it from here. Put your coat on.
Pizza delivery for the family game event.
Oh.
So, all right. Ooh. All right. So you identify the emotion that they're feeling, and take a shot at it. There's nothing wrong with that. When you do that, okay, this is what you're thinking. Is this what I'm understanding you're feeling? You don't say you are feeling this. I'm wondering if you're feeling this way. I think you're feeling this way. As you keep it open, they go, yeah, or no, it's more like this. Okay, cool. There's no right or wrong to it. Then they really feel you're really hearing what I'm saying.
Yeah. They can relate.
They can relate, and that opens up a huge amount of potential. Huge amount of potential. When people think they're heard and known, and that's showing that
People
love.
like to, like I always practice just the little things, going to McDonald's with their name tags on it. When I leave, say, hey, thanks, Megan.
Right.
Because people like to hear their name.
Their names are not because they're being known that way.
Yeah.
You know, when on Sundays I always tell the story about myself because what is it? If you guys know, there's a guy by the name Jimmy Kloss, and his wife Maria, great Italian cook. If they ever invite you over for dinner, go. And he always calls me Pastor Zoom because I'm walking back and forth and between all the services doing all that kind of stuff, and it's part of the job. It's whatever. But there's some people that have, years ago in my first church, we would be really, and there I had kids ministries, I had some other stuff going on, so I'd be really busy in the service. When I had one service, I would have to do some preliminary stuff, then run back to kids' church. So I was always running around. And someone told my wife, she goes, is Pastor Randy mad at me? She's like, I don't think so. Wow. And she's thinking, why would Randy be mad at this person? She's like, one of the sweetest ladies in the church. Why would he be mad at her? And she says, well, I said something to him, and he didn't respond. He goes, whoa, she goes, whoa, wait a minute. When did you ask him something? Well, I was by the nursery, and he was walking past me, and I said something. She goes, he didn't hear you. He's very, his brain's, and he's doing his thing, and, and so that can be busyness, but then, I have to really train myself. Okay, what's the person saying, thinking, what's their feeling? And that's the thing I've really had to work over the years. And, okay, when I really want to hear them, when I go, like I said, when I go to the hospital calls, better example, this is what their logic is. I want this natural thing to happen, but why does that bother them so much? What pain are they feeling emotionally? Okay, they got a physical pain, that's obvious, but what emotionally is really draining on them? What's really on their heart? And identify, okay, you're really concerned about this. And like I said, it's like either they're feeling really good. Okay, I always ask you, what's your biggest fear when you go home? And they go, oh, I'm worried about this or this, and it's like, okay, let's pray about that. But whatever that is, it just helps them. Okay, that we really know where they're at, and it's you have to be intentional about that and working on it. Okay, so that's really part of that. Okay, and time's getting away from us. Altar worker basics. So so you achieve contact. You build on a problem. Was a problem with the altar call. Coping activity with the problem is what is the solution to the at the altar? That can be a big part of that. So those are the first things, A, B, and C, of achieve contact. You walk up to them, you talk to them, you say, "Hey, how can I pray for you?" You can tell them your name, so you can ask. If you don't know their name, always ask their name. That's never wrong. I want to pray for you. Just tell me your name, what your need is, and then you pray for that. Build on the problem, which is usually the need for prayer, and then whatever solution may be after that for follow-up. A big part of that, though, is getting their information. So let's go talk about the altar card. Okay, so in your packet, we have a couple things in there.
We filled one of these out.
Yep. So it's real simple, and we do outreach family. There's two versions of this. One's just like a single person one, and there's this one, which is the newer one, which is it's a family altar card. So it has we're trying to. Because oftentimes we do events, and it's a group of people who come forward for at the altar. It can be singles, it can be groups. So when we have groups, we can do one person.
Right there.
You do it right there because it's really important to get their names. Phone number is real important because that's our main way of
When we do the altar call.
if someone comes in for the salvation for Jesus, to recommit their lives to Jesus Christ for salvation respondents,
okay.
we want to get that information.
Okay.
Okay. And so the new convert, that's what we want. Or recommitment, we want that information.
These up front then?
These are we used to keep them up front, but now what we do is you guys got a copy, keep it with you. We keep them where the ushers room is at. We keep a stock back there, and then oftentimes when we do like an altar call, I'm walking around. You'll see me walking around with these cards and hand them out to people. Okay, and I'll hand them out to the elders and lay ministers. Okay, have them fill them out, or you fill them out with them. There's the thing. You want their names, you want their phone numbers. It's got to be legible. My penmanship's not the best, so a lot of times I'll have them write it. If I still can't make it out, I go, okay, so your phone number is, let me double check my number, and I'll rewrite it so I can make sure I understand it, and same with names and all that fun stuff. Okay. You want to get that. We want to know if they want to be water baptized. Just a lot of times they'll say no, yes, they're not sure about it. It's okay, no big deal. If they attend another church regularly, put their church name on there, and if I can, we will contact the church, say, hey, they came forward at the altar. Here's their name and information. We can mostly have the website, an email on the website, and we'll contact them. And then put your name on the bottom. The prayer partner's name, that would be you. So then I can say, okay, you talk to this person with the date. Am I missing something? Do I need to follow up? Do I need to, or whatever? A lot of times when people do when lay ministers or elders do this, they go, can I follow up with them? I go, sure, go right ahead, but I need their information. I gotta have it. I gotta get it in. So copy it, take a picture of it, whatever. Please feel free to contact them, and just let me know you contact them. That's cool. I have no problem with that. That's that's cool. But I gotta have, because we put it in our system so I can keep track of it, that we're following up with them properly.
Okay.
But what you don't want to do is if on a Sunday morning, what we'll do, the average Sunday, pastor will do a salvation. People raise their hands. He does salvation prayer. He may call him forward. He may not. It varies. Then he'll say, "Go see Pastor Randy in the foyer," and I'll be always at the left as you walk out. To the right, and I'll be sitting there behind that counter thing. Well, in that counter, and they grab it and bring them in here. I'll have a bunch of these, or I'll have a Bible. We have Bibles. We rather give them a Bible, but I want them to give me the card. I will not, and I don't want anybody to get this or a Bible without the information. We don't, because I don't give them this without this. It's kind of like, you got to give me this, and I'll give you this, because we got to follow up with them. We have to follow up with them to be good
That
shepherds.
was that fault of the church for years.
Yeah.
There was no follow-up.
Yep. A lot of times, to be honest with you, we call, and I get a lot of voicemails. But I've called. I've done what I can. We try to reach out to them. And our ideal is we can, you do a home visit. You can just knock on the door. But then nowadays, someone knocking on your door cold. What would you guys be? You'd be looking on the camera on the doorbell, going, "Who's out there? What they want?" So it's just we're more distant that way. But a phone call, email's good because then we can email them.
Yeah.
We have a whole thing that kicks in with that. But we gotta try. We gotta do our due diligence with it.
I remember one pastor friend I had, when he made home calls, he says there's some homes he wouldn't go to unless his wife went with him.
Yeah.
It was just
Too risky.
Okay. Well, that's good.
I've heard some stories of pastors go stop at a house and say hi to checking people, and the wife opens the door and not most appropriately dressed.
Yeah, that's why he didn't go.
That's why I didn't go. So And so just doing those things is really important. Making contact. In all honesty, if you pray at that person and you call them later, there'll be more room to you talking than someone else.
My mom actually called the pastor out one time. They were standing there, and this girl walked by, and she was very attractive. And she looked at the pastor. She goes, "Shame on you." He's like, "What do you mean?" She says, "You should know better. You're a married man. You don't look at a woman like that."
Was he looking?
Yeah, you're looking.
Yeah, she doesn't.
Yeah, she doesn't mince words.
I was raised by bikers, so when we first met, I mean, I wear the clothes I wear.
Right.
I've been raised that way my whole life.
Right.
So one day I was over there and she goes, I don't know why young girls just have to have their breasts just out in the open. And we got in the car after and I said, Jenna, was she talking about me?
Probably.
So now when I go over there, I make sure that I wear what is appropriate
Right.
for her. So I don't offend my
Well,
mother.
we used to, there was certain
But I'll tell you, she has a.
criteria for being on the platform, what girls could wear.
Oh yeah. There's a big. That's a big. Even we gotta be careful at Lakeside. Pastor goes, "Oh, someone's wearing such and such," and so Don's got to talk to him, and there's rules and regulations, and there's a way to do it. So okay, so you want name, phone number, address, and email.
Mm-hmm.
Name, phone number, address is good because we'll send a postcard to him. Well, again, it's all those ways we can contact them. So the more ways we get to contact, the better we're off. When the card is done, you can give it to me in person, or drop it to. Now, sometimes I'll have a designated person that's the person collecting the cards. For whatever reason, if I'm not available, I may have one like an elder or a key lay minister, and they'll gather up the cards. But if it's not me, you'll know. If it's not Pastor Rainer, he's gone. There's someone else supposed to collect them.
Okay.
If that's not the case, it's on a regular Sunday or any Sunday. At the church, by the office, there's a drop box. Put them in the drop box. Because we need to have the cards. Otherwise, we're clueless. When I first took this over, someone had like 3 or 4 cards they collected information on, and they took them home so they could follow up with them. I go, I appreciate that, but I need to have that information. Right. And it took me because the reality is that the way it's, there's not a lot of studies on this stuff. If I call the next day, we're good. If I call 2 days after, we're okay. Anything past that, it's a cold contact, and it doesn't really do much good for us. So it's got to be immediate. The faster, the better. The way we can do it. If I can send them if I can do a phone call and send them an email, and they get a postcard, I've covered all my grounds.
We actually fell through the cracks on the church.
Okay.
Because we didn't get one of those.
Okay.
And we didn't get a follow-up call. We
Okay.
didn't, but we did fill one out because I remember we tried putting it in that box right by the office, and the box was real little. Like it was hard to stick that humongous thing
In there, yeah.
that
Yeah, a little
slot.
slot,
Or
yeah.
somebody did help us
Yep.
with that. But I can see where it would be very important. I
Yeah.
mean, luckily we love the
I've been
church.
in and around, so.
We
Right.
actually love the church. So,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
But-
So
I
because
can tell you, you want to hear a funny story? We used to get these things from the factory that people would fill out about us, contact about equipment.
yeah.
So I got one, and I'm going through one day, and I call this number, and it's a hotel in Detroit. And the guy, oh, he not here, he homeless, He just filled one of these out, somehow a factory got the information.
Yep.
So I'm calling some homeless guy in Detroit.
Yep. You make contacts is what you got to do. Because we have this card and we have the new the welcome card people fill out. That's a
Yes.
different track.
Correct.
And so, but we try to follow up, we try to call, we try to as best we can. But then again, stuff gets missed or it gets in later or whatever, and like someone again they don't put in the right spot or doesn't get passed on the right person. So we're always really trying to be diligent with that. But as lay ministers, once you guys hand it off to us, then it's on me to take care of it.
Okay.
But I got to get it so I can take care of it.
All right.
Okay.
That might have been the case in our case where it just never got to you.
So when did you guys start coming then?
It would have been a year ago, November.
Okay.
It was around
Yeah.
Thanksgiving, between Thanksgiving, because
Christmas.
we were here for the Christmas program
Okay.
a year ago.
Yeah. I remember seeing a big card for you guys. I want to see maybe like maybe I don't know. Okay. I don't know. Okay.
It's all good though, because we like the church.
Yeah.
So it worked out.
So follow up. If you take a list of people, okay, so if you take a list of people to call, please contact them in 24 to 48 hours. So if we send you any type of list, maybe a new convert or missing sheep or shut-in, the expectation you'll contact them, especially new converts, within 24 to 48 hours.
Okay.
If it's missing sheep or shut in, it's usually within a week or so. Make at least one contact. You try to call them at least once, leave a voicemail. You can call. A lot of times people say, "Oh, I tried to call 3 or 4 times." Cool. That's never wrong.
Okay.
Because in this day and age, and I find usually a second call will work through. Third call, usually they're just ignoring the phone call. Report back. If you do not reach the person, email is best. So what it is if we send you a list of people, it's almost always going through email, okay? Because that's fast. Then send us back an email. I contact the person. I left a voicemail, whatever. Because we keep every single note you send me, I copy and put in our system.
I got like 4,000 emails. I never check.
You're one of those,
I
huh?
use mine, because mine I clean every
Right.
day, so.
I'm not kidding you. I literally, last time I checked, I had over 4,000 emails. And I thought, man, I can't believe I check all this. My computer's 15 years old.
Really do need a new.
Slower than.
Then the last thing.
And it's making noises now.
It'll just do it on its own and sit there all in you.
So just getting it. So, but when you get that list of call them, follow up with them, but make at least one contact. 2 is good. 3 sometimes doesn't work. It's up to you. Most of my lay ministers find they'll call a second time, they may get through to another one, which typically they'll hit well with that. But then please email me. Email's best. Text is okay. Because what happens? Really take your comments, drop it into our system, so I can keep track. So Pastor, who's contacted? Here we go. That's what we've done, and there's all the information. This is who we contacted, and yeah, that whole thing. It's call report. And so we do a system that we keep track of all that. I'll probably show you guys on how we do it. It's all online. It's called a system called the Realm, and we keep track of everybody. And we'll have last month we did 50 because the holidays was kind of weird, and keeping attendance on the holidays is kind of tough. So you mean back checking out people so we had a lot of missing sheep, more than normal. We had like 25 to 30 probably on the average month. Last month we had 50. So we contacted everybody. We got a lot of voicemails. We did this, we did that. But then I called them. They showed up next week. That's what happens. So, but we have a whole system that we keep track of all that with. And now new converts we keep track of. Did we call them? Did we send a postcard? They were able to reach them. Did someone call twice? Because I'll call. I'll have a lay minister or elder call. Pastor send a postcard out, and then we'll see what happens. Then did they return? Did they come back to church? Because we'll try to keep track of that through our different systems and so forth. So what we're really trying to keep track, because once someone comes one time, but they come back, that's the key ticket. And so because I call people that visit all the time. Oh yeah, we'll be back. They don't show up. When they do show up, then okay, then we're talking.
Repeat business.
Yep.
That couple that we prayed for, she said that they belonged to a different church.
Yeah.
But they came to our church because of the neighbor.
Right.
Their
Okay.
neighbor.
Yep.
So, but they were not Chaldean. What were they? Pakistani.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah, it's all Middle Eastern type
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
And
But
SAS.
very nice people.
Okay.
But
Cool.
she was so concerned about her daughter.
Yeah.
Oh, they were, because I think they were from Israel. Or Egypt or someplace.
Oh, Egypt. Yeah, I'm sorry, Egypt.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, so next training. So we'll meet again next March 11th at 10 a.m. in here. Hopefully everyone will be here. It should work out pretty good.
Yeah, yours says next session is Saturday, November 6th.
Oh, that's wrong. That's typo. I thought I fixed those. I missed that one. That's right. That's a good thing you checked. I thought I catch. Yeah, March 11th at 10 a.m.
At 10 a.m.
Yep, that print
I
out's
knew
wrong.
that, but
I messed that up. Missed that one.
Okay, yeah, I'm not waiting all the way till November.
No, I'm kidding. Additional training is we have what's called Lakeside Leadership Ministry School. We partner with Trinity Bible College, and we offer we teach courses. Right now I'm doing New Testament survey.
Where are they out of?
Trinity Bible College is in graduate school in North Dakota, and so
I remember it seemed like playing basketball against them or something.
could have been years ago. It's a small little Bible college in North Dakota.
Cool.
It's a we Pastor and I want to offer some advanced courses and so forth for a variety of reasons, and so we talked to different ones, and they're all very expensive for that due credit. But Trinity, with if you do the courses that we teach, you want to pay Trinity. You can audit them as lay ministers and people. We have it set up on all this course content we put on the Lakeside Leadership Ministry School Moodle, and you'll see all the videos and all the stuff be on there. Well, I do all the same with the courses that we teach. So you can take the quizzes, you can do all different stuff. and you can audit, but it's not under the Trinity system. It's under our own system, and you take it's kind of fun. So so they're like, basically there's different ways you can do it and wait and all that and stuff. So it's one of the more cost effective ways to do it. So we partner with them. So and plus they would let me and Pastor teach because I have a master's at seminary, from a seminary. He has his doctorate in ministry. He can teach. So we teach all the courses ourselves. How that works is they pay us to teach the course out of the little tuition that they get. For those that do the Bible college and pay for that, we literally we take that money and put it back into scholarship back to them. So we don't get any money off it. It goes to our missions department. Then we got a scholarship out to the trainer.
One time bragged about his PhD, but it was a mail order one from
Yeah,
the Philippines.
ours is legit. Yeah. So we do that, but we and I've done it over the years. Different people who said, "Well, I want to learn more about the Old Testament, New Testament," and they just take the class for fun. And then they just do the courses with us and all that fun stuff, and that's how we do it. A lot of lay ministers, they kind of like doing that.
What days do you do that?
We right now the New Testament is on Saturdays, and if you want more information on that, you can jump in. I can tell you real quick. This class will be. We're going to do it for a little while yet, but because the class has already started.
Oh, okay.
But the next class that we will do is personal evangelism, which will be in March and April. And that's a real simple course, and we'll be doing that one. But we do. It's like if you don't want learn about our doctrine, we're going to teach. I'm going to teach on that, or Pastor will teach on that next fall, and that's going to be all of our doctrine. We're going to cover it really thoroughly, all that stuff. And so
Next fall.
that'll be
But
next
it's
fall.
on Saturdays.
It's always on Saturdays. The schedule varies because I basically say, okay, I got to do 4-hour blocks. I can do from 9 to 1, depends on the course and how long the course is.
Right.
And for X amount of Saturdays in the time frame that we have, and then I gotta find out when I got available and stuff. So I do it that
Got
way.
it.
So,
Okay.
but
But
we'll
it's
do like we're doing personal evangelism next in March, April. Yeah, March and April. Then I'm gonna do intro to missions and AG polity. After that, over the summer, then we'll do Old Testament. We'll do the theology class in the fall, and another course I can't remember what it is. Then we'll do Old Testament in the spring. And so that would be the rotational class that we teach. Then, so there's those. I do another advanced training course on it's kind of like mental health. It's called Mental Health First Aid, or First Aid Mental Health one of those. But it's like real basic mental health type of skills to have and learn. It's a general curriculum that I can apply in this context. We'll do that probably in the fall. I'll look at that doing that fall. And then there's another course of what we call marriage mentors, which you can do. You can be set up to do premarital counseling for couples who are going through premarital or marital counseling. If you want to jump into that. So that's another thing that we offer. So
We have a lot of experience with
Yeah.
messing up on marital stuff
okay, cool.
between the two of us.
When we, just to tell you about us,
Mm-hmm.
we met on ourtime.com.
Okay.
And she messaged me wishing me happy birthday.
Because that's what it said.
And,
it was your
but it
birthday.
was like, my birthday was like 2 or 3 weeks away. It was actually about 9 years ago now.